What's up everyone, it's Jay Kills, and today I'm going to be showing you a new game that you can download on the PlayStation Store for free. You don't have to pay anything to play this, and the first thing I'm going to say is if you don't like fishing in real life, you won't like this game. And the second thing I want to say is I do go through like all the basics of the game, like how it works, what all you can buy in the store. So if you would rather just see some of the gameplay first, I will leave a timestamp in the description so you can go ahead and jump forward and just watch the gameplay. And then if you do like the gameplay, you can go back and see what else you can do in the game. This is Fishing Planet, the ultimate fishing simulator. Like I said, it's on the PlayStation Store. You can download it for free. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. They do have like some type of special event going on right now for Halloween. They've added like a bunch of new, spooky top fish that you can catch. Uh, catch huge monster gars, vampires, ogres, and albinos. And then it gives you 3 locations where you can catch those at, and it says spooky not fishing, 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. You can reach new challenge and win exclusive outfits, new exclusive monster not pack, and I mean there's a like stuff like this included in the game that you can get. Like there's the catfish pack and stuff like that. But this one's free, so let's just go ahead. There is a daily login bonus, and you do have to log in every day to get it. If you miss a day, it restarts. So on the 5th day, you can get up to $2,000, which is pretty helpful. Alright, when you first start the game up, you're going to go through a small tutorial. It's going to teach you like the basics of the game. And then once you're done with that, you're only going to be able to go to one place, and that's here at Texas, Lone Star Lake. It's really the only place that I fished at so far, even though I have 5 other places open to go to. The game does give you $15,000, and that's more than enough to start off with. And the way you make money in this game is you go on fishing trips. Like you can go to Lone Star Lake and fish for a full day and then leave, after the day's up, or leave at any time. And the fish that you catch and keep in your keep net or on your stringer, at the end of the trip, it tallies up, how much fish you caught and what they're worth, and that's how you make money in the game. I kind of forgot to say that in the video as I was doing it, so I did go back and just to put this in. But like for me, whenever I go fishing here, usually with the 15-pound keep net that I had, with just catching bass alone, I can make $1,000, a little over 1,000 at every day of the trip, and I would usually go for 3 days, so I would make $3,000 each trip. And I forgot to say how you make money in this game, and that's how it's by the fish that you catch and you keep. They're all worth something, and it tells you how much they're worth as you catch them. And there are coins in this game that you can use to buy stuff, and you do get some from the game by completing challenges and leveling up. So you don't have to spend any money to play this game. And the game helps you off by giving you a basic license to Lone Star Lake, and it gives you an unlimited one, so you can fish here as much as you want without paying anything. But just like every place that you can go to in real life, there are restrictions and rules associated with each and every place that you have to follow or you can get fined. So with Lone Star Lake, the basic license, you can take anything with no restrictions, but you have to release a common spotted bass, a trophy red ear sunfish, and a trophy bluegill. So if you catch any of those 3, you have to release them, or you can pay up to a fine of 100 credits. And depending on how big the bass is, the other 2, they're not really worth that much. But if you catch a bass that's like a pound and a half or over, if you don't want to buy an advanced license to where you can just keep everything, it could be beneficial just to keep the bass anyways and pay the fine. But I think it's better just to buy the advanced license, because you can go and get a 1-day license advanced and pay $200 and pay no fines. And that 1 day does last one full day, not just 1 day in game, it lasts one full day. So you can have like a week go by in the game and it'll still, be in effect. But I think it is worth it just to buy the advanced license. And when it comes to first starting off, you're only going to have one pole. It's going to be a bait casting pole, nothing special. But as you start leveling up, you can get a carrying case to where you can hold more than one rod. I'll go ahead and show that. You have to be a level 3 before you can get it. It's $1,000, but at least that way you can have one pole set up for bait fishing and then one for fly fishing, which I think I've got one for bait and two for fly. There are like outfits and stuff, equipment. When you hit level 3, you can get this one, and you can hold up to 5 extra tackles and 1 extra line on you at all times. And then at level 5, you can get this and hold 5 more tackles and 1 more line. Just like in real life, keep nets are a lot more fish friendly than stringers are. So you're going to start off with this one, and you can hold 4.4 pounds of fish with a max single fish weight of 1 pound. Then you can get this one to where you can hold 8 pounds with, a 3 pound max single fish weight. When you get to level 3, you can spend 20 coins and get this one, and you can hold 31 pounds of fish with a 15.5 pound single fish weight limit. Or you can wait till you hit level 4 and just go ahead and get this one, which I used this one all the way up until last night. And you could hold 15 pounds of fish with 6.5 pound single fish weight limit. The thing with keep nets, they are fish friendly. If you take something and then at the end you decide you don't want to keep it, or you want to make room for something else that you caught, you can release the fish. If you're using a stringer, you can't release it. So once you decide to keep it, you're stuck with it. Right now, I've got this one to where I can have 3 rods, and this to where I can hold 55 pounds of fish with a max limit of 7.5 pounds. So, there's a lot of different stuff that you can buy. The biggest keep net, you can have 440 pounds of fish with a max weight of 110, which is just crazy. This one, 100 tackles and 7 extra lines, 7 rods, 3 extra reels, 35 tackles and 7 lines. Once you get up to like level 40, you can have all kinds of shit on you. When it comes to rods, there's 4 different types. There's spinning, telescopic, match, and casting. There's 8 full pages full of them, and each one has its own line weight that you can use. Like this one, you can have a 2 to a 4 pound weight line, and you can only bait cast with this. And then with this one, you can have a 3 to a 6.5 pound weight line, but this is a fly fishing pole, and you have to go by the lure weight. So if you go to buy lures, you have to buy a 6 ounce through a 5/8 ounce. Anything less than a 6, anything more than 5/8, you won't be able to use it with this pole. And there's just a bunch of different ones. There's actual cast rods like this one. I'm not a big fan of cast rods or the reels, but I do have some. And there's 8 pages full of them. When it comes to reels, there's spin and cast tops. So here's the spin reels and here's a cast. Uh, I have this one, or I had it. I sold it last night. It's a cast reel. It was pretty good. But so far, I'm using this one, and this one. But I do have this cast reel in my home inventory that I could use anytime. I really don't like them. But I mean, there's 8 pages full of them as well. Those are pretty good. And each one, has its own capacity. Uh, there's some that can hold like up to 300 feet full of line, and then there's some that only hold like 100. And the cast reels really, they don't hold much line at all, so you won't be able to cast far out with them. And when it comes to lines, there's 3 different types. There's mono, fluoro, and braid, and it goes all the way from a 2-pound test to a 40-pound test. And you have to plan out which line you buy as well. If you buy an 8-pound, but the pole and the reel won't accept it, you won't be able to use it. It'll damage your equipment. So you will have to go back and like buy something else. Which I don't think I have any 8-pound equipped. I've got a 6-pound. I do have an 8-pound, but I don't have it equipped. I bought this one just to see if I could use it, and I couldn't. But let's go to the tackle. There are a lot of different kinds of floats and hooks. Just like in real life, the hook sizes go all the way from a 10 gauge to a 10-0 gauge. And, the floats, you've got the oval, the chubby, which is good for bait that is heavy, which that's another thing. You won't be able to use this slim float using heavy bait. It'll just sink. You have to actually use a bigger float. There's the pear-shaped floats, the classic ball bobbers, the red, white, and blue ones. And like I said, it goes all the way up to a 10-0 hook. When it comes to lures, there are a lot of different type of lures. Well, there's jig heads, jig baits, bass jigs, hard bait lures, like crankbaits, and then there's spoons and spinners. So, I mean, here's some slop spoons, which they're good for fishing through like heavily weeded areas. Casting spoons, which this one in the beginning was really good. I did like it. And then the jig head baits. This, you have to go by the weight of the actual jig head. So this is 1/6 ounce. Plus you have to go by the hook size. And this is a number 2. So you would have to plan, if your reel and your rod can support this weight, plus get bait that, can go on this hook, which this shad could. The fitting hook for this is a 2 to a 2.0, so you could use this one since it's a 2. You could use this one since it's a 1, or so on. Although you could use this one as well. I mean, just anything from a 2 to all the way up to a 2.0. But there's a lot of different kinds. There's narrow spoons, which are good for like trout fishing in places that have a high current, like streams and stuff like that. Spinners in this game are amazing. I really like the spinner that I use, which is this one. It never lets me down. There's nano spinners that, good for catching smaller predatory fish. But, I mean, honestly, the spinner is just as good. These tubes, they're alright. And then the bass jigs, craws, different sized grubs and shads, nano spoons. I mean, there's a lot. The spinner bait, those are pretty good in real life. I don't use them that much, but the crankbaits, like I love these things in real life, and each one of them in this game has a different use. This one only goes down 3 feet as you're reeling it in, while this one goes down 6. So you have to plan out what type of fish you want to go after and get one that goes down to the depth that you need, as well as, you know, trying to match it up with the weight of the lure as well. That's 5/8. Here's another crankbait. This one goes down 30 feet, and I think 30 feet is the max that any one of them can go down. More spinner baits, which this one looks amazing. More crankbaits. That one goes down 8, 12. More spinners. I think that one would be really good. More crankbaits, 30 feet, 30 feet, 30 feet again, 16, 23. But these bullet spinners, I really want them. I want this one. Like, it looks amazing. That's 1 1/4 ounce weight though, so you'd have to have a big rod to use that one. There's 37 pages full that you can use, and each one has a, you know, a different purpose for different fish in the game. And then when it comes to actual baits, you're going to start off with bread and worms, and then you can work your way up to like cheese, pet food, grasshoppers, which the cheese is really good for catching bluegill and cats, and grasshoppers good for cats and bass. Dough balls, small cut bait, and each one of these baits has a different weight to them. So with the bread and the worms and cheese, pet food, all those are light, so you can use a smaller float. But when it comes to the small cut bait, the weight is medium to heavy, and you'd have to use one of the larger floats. And just like the minnows, you have to use a large float with them as well. But, I mean, crickets, maggots, shrimp, these are really good. I don't know why, but I really like them. These marshmallows have been amazing. I've caught a shitload of catfish and buffaloes with these. I didn't think they would be that good, but they are. Like, I ran out last night, and you get 50 of them. And I ran out in one day, and I had to turn around and buy more. But, I mean, night crawlers, medium cut baits, the blood balls, like the super bait blood balls, good for cats, frogs, crawfish, leeches, shrimps, large minnows, large cut bait, corn, peas, dragonflies, and spawn sacks for trout and salmon. Just like this, if you want to catch a particular type of fish, you have to get a bait that they actually go after. And then you can also go into the shop and, you know, look at licenses for different places and see how much they are. They do have events. They have events going on every day. Every single one of them is different, and, you know, just like always, there's different levels that you have to be before you can do, you know, certain ones. Like, I think out of the ones they have going now, I can do maybe 2 to 3 of them, but the rest of them, I'm either too high level or not high enough. But they do have these every single day, and you can look and see, you know, what all is scheduled, and then go all the way up to the next week and see if there's any that you're interested in, and, you know, make plans so you can do it, because these are in real time and they don't last that long. Like, I think there may be like an hour or two at most. They do have tournaments. There's only been one held since I downloaded the game and started playing. So I mean, they're rarer than the competitions because those are every day, and they do include like new fish for these tournaments, and then you can go out and try to see who can catch the biggest one or who can catch the most and stuff like that. There is a leaderboard. You can go here and view who's got the most experience in the fish, who's caught the most, uh, who's won the most competitions, who's caught the largest fish, and the largest fish that's been caught in this game has been 106.3 pounds. Like, that is crazy. And of course, it's a trophy alligator gar. Like, those are freaking huge. And then you can also go and look to see what your fish are. The largest one I've caught so far has been 3.6 pounds, and it was a smallmouth buffalo. And then the largest bass I've caught has been 2.1 pounds, and the largest cat that I've caught has been 1.8. You can go there just to keep up and see like what all you've caught as well. You can buy a premium account to where you get more cash for the fish you catch and more experience, but you don't have to. And you can buy more bait coins as well. Like 100 bait coins is $6. And then I didn't know, but you could buy individual day passes to ponds as well. I didn't know that either. But I think I've covered the basics of everything. You do have to get like fishing licenses, and like I said, the basic and advanced license. The advanced lets you pretty much keep everything you catch. The basic does have restrictions and rules and stuff like that. And each place does have their own rules on whether you can use a keep net or a stringer, just like most competitions do as well. Some of them you can use a stringer, and then some of them you have to use a keep net. You can't use a stringer at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the gameplay, some of the largest fish that I've caught up to date and stuff like that. Alright everyone, enjoy. Alright, here's some of the gameplay that I've recorded. Unfortunately, I didn't have my mic plugged in for any of this, so I'm going to go through and, just play it out and talk over it. Alright, so you can switch your lures on the fly. You don't have to go into the inventory. I switched to a bass jig, an 8 ounce right here with a 1/0 hook. It's like 6:30 a.m. in the game. It was a 3-day trip. And with a jig, you just try to, do different types of reel ends. So right there, I was trying to get it to vibrate a little bit in the water, and trying to get it up off the ground, or the floor, pretty much. Even though you can do straight retrieves with it, and it works just as well. But I kind of like to mix it up. Straight and slow, stop and go, twitch it, lift and drop, and just straight reel ends. And then right there, I got a hit. So I mean, like, doing stuff like that can help you get hits, because I mean, this is a simulator. It's a lot like real life. The more noise your lure's making in the water, there's a better chance of something coming to investigate. And you can see this one puts up a little bit of a fight, so I knew it was, pretty big. And I was increasing and decreasing the drag on it. And you do have to move the camera angle around to, decrease the tension on the line and the reel and the pole itself. But, I mean, a 1.85 pound bass. I mean, that's pretty good. And then this is one of my favorite lures to use, the spinner. I mean, I just threw it out and immediately started reeling it in. I let it drop a little bit, and just immediately. And you reel in, and like you can tell if a bass is biting, because most of the time, like, they just take off with it, and you can strike then, or you can let it go for a little bit, but you do have a chance of losing it. And I caught this and I was like, what the fuck is that? A bluegill skeleton? But that's one of the new fish that they put in for Halloween. It kind of, I was like, what the fuck is that? Because it was moving. And then, you know, I seen the Halloween stuff and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm still using the white spanner here at 1 p.m. on the second day of that trip. And this one puts up a little bit of a fight as well. Every time the tension starts to decrease, I'll press L2 and bring the pole up. That way, you know, the fish jumps out of water and it comes in a little more. Because tension's not always a bad thing, especially with bass. You want to keep it up a little bit and then, you know, just like that, lift the pole up, reel in, get it to come in, drop it, and then do it again. Because as it tries to go back out, it knows, you know, it can't, so it comes in. And right there it jumped up out. I got it in, you know, an extra 10 feet with that. It jumped up again. And it's about to jump up again, you can tell. It's really close to the surface. But this one put up a pretty good fight as well. I mean, it took a lot for me to get it in. It just kept wanting to try to fight it. I mean, I get it in to like 15 feet and then it goes back out to like 20. But some of the bigger bass that you can catch in this area, they do put up one good fight. And then I lifted it up right there and I was like, enough. 1.88 pound. That was the largest one I had caught at that time. It was a new personal record. So I'm still fly fishing here, still using that white spinner, which it's been one of the best ones I've got. Like I use it every time I go. And just like that, I mean 100 feet out. And some of the poles that I was using and the reels, like one of them I could cast out like 73 feet, the other one was 130, and then I ended up getting some new poles and some new reels, and now I can cast out like 230 feet with one of them and like 160 to 180 with the other one. So it works out well, especially, you know, that long of a distance bringing it in. You have more chance to get a hit. So this is day 2 at like 7:22. I'm not sure if it's still the same day. I'd only caught like 2 fish prior to this one. And there it goes, it just give up. .91. That was a new personal record as well. And here's a bait cast. I wanted to throw some of that in as well. And this is with me using small minnows. Like the hit came quick, so I knew it was something big. Because usually if it's a smaller fish, they nibble on it. And you can feel it in your controller, like the vibrations. But that one just come up, it hit once, and then it took off. And at the time, that was the largest cat that I'd caught. 1.19 pound. I mean, the fish look beautiful in this game. And here's another one. You can tell by the float up in the top right hand corner, like how crazy the hits were in this. And then all of a sudden it just took it. And there we go, another one. 1.35. 14 inches long. It's a pretty good cat, especially for just a channel cat. And fly fishing again here. The best thing to do is just let the lure fall to the bottom and then start reeling it in. Because with the spinner, it comes up off the ground pretty quick. And then, you know, it goes up and down on its own, so you don't have to really do any of this extra stuff that I'm doing. It does, you know, help every now and then, though. Because this was at 6:41 a.m. in the day. And, you know, the days are different. Sometimes the morning and late at evening are best. Sometimes midday is best. And then, you know, sometimes just late at night, early in the morning is the only time you can really catch anything good. As you can tell right there, I was trying to strengthen the tension, and then it about snapped the line. So I wasn't really paying attention. I was looking at the water. But that's something you got to do. Like, you've got to keep it enough tension on it without putting too much on, because it will snap your line. Like, this one's putting up a pretty good fight. And there we go. The first 2-pound bass I caught. So the fish, anything over 2 pounds, they don't lift it up with just their hand. That was the first time I caught one that large. And you can look at the float in the top right hand corner, like it's going crazy with just the hits. I mean, it turned completely sideways right there. And then it pulls it down a little and let go. And I was like, well, is it going to take it? And then it did. The semolina balls, or whatever they are, they're actually really good. This one's putting up a pretty good fight. Excuse me. Usually once you get it into about 15 feet, they come in. And this one, 3.45 pound smallmouth buffalo, is the first one that I caught. And now this is with crickets. And it was immediately after I just caught that one. Another cat. And this was 1.62 pounds. Which is now the largest that I'd caught. And here's my white spinner again. And you don't really know when you're going to get a hit. And you have to make sure it's not just a weak hit. But when you do the tutorial, it helps you. And it helps you a lot. And then after you start leveling up, it's pretty much on you. It doesn't help you and give you the hints anymore, like when you should strike. Like, just right there, like it just come out of nowhere. I just happened to press L2 to bring the pole up, and it hooked. So, I mean, you never know when you're going to get the hit, or the bite, or, you know, the strike, or whatever you want to call it. Like, this is a really good game. I've got to say, I really enjoyed playing this. And there we go, a 2.01 pound bass, which now that's the largest one that I've caught. So I'm still using that white spinner. It's 7:19 a.m. This was yesterday. Now I can't remember what I caught. But there's different methods to retrieving. You don't have to just reel it straight in. You can do stop and go. You know, just play the game, experiment with different ones. see which one works best for you, because usually I just like the stop and go or just the straight retrieve. I found that those work pretty good. The lift and drop works well if you're about 60 feet in, but twitching, I don't really like that. So I mean, this one didn't even really put up that much of a fight, but it was now my heaviest one at 2.09 pounds. And this was from yesterday as well, because I had just bought that 55-pound fish cabin keep net. And I think I just went fishing just to see how long it would take me to fill up the entire keep net, which is 55 pounds. And it took a while. But like I said, you never know when you're going to get that hit. And I think this is the one where, just watch like right where the line is in the water. I kept getting many hits. And I was like, okay, well I guess I'm not going to get anything. And then I started to stop and go. And watch like right where the line is, you can see the water start to, you know, get weird, like something's coming up, right there, and then all of a sudden, boom, it come up, it grabbed it. Unfortunately, it's only a grass pickerel, but you know, I'll take it. And then here we are with the marshmallows, which these have been amazing for catching catfish and the smallmouth buffalo. And there's a new 1.64 channel cat. And then right after that, I mean, I caught 35 pounds of fish. Well, 36 so far. I'm still trying to fill it up. And I mean, right after, 1.73 pound. I mean, the hits aren't always like this. There's going to be times where you're sitting there waiting, but I didn't want to include any time of me just sitting there waiting on something to strike. And I could tell this one was going to be big. Okay, I don't usually have to decrease my drag with my bait pole, but I had to with this one because there was too much tension. And I only had a 4-pound line on this at the time. And there's a 3.57 smallmouth buffalo. And I wanted to include this just to show what happens if you leave too much tension on the line for just like a split second. As this was, you know, done a while back, but I did save it because I thought it was funny. And I was only using like a 3-pound line, so whatever it was big enough to really put a strain on my line and my reel, my pole, everything. But it was kind of my fault because I increased the drag, and it just come up out of nowhere and put too much tension on it, and I didn't get it decreased fast enough. Like, I'm using the spinner here, and when you do go to fish, you don't have to be in a room with other people. You can go to a private room, or you can go to a room and invite your friends and just have a friends only room. This one was one where I was in a public room. See, right there it about snapped my line. As you can see, like, there's someone right in front of me right there. And then it was right here that it let off a little bit, and I increased the drag trying to get it to come in. And I just fucked up. I mean, it went all the way back out to 100, and I knew I was going to have to do something, but right there, just like that, all it took was that split second, and I broke my line. But alright, everyone, that's going to do it for this video. If you, like I said at the beginning, if you enjoy fishing, get this game. Like, it is a lot of fun. But alright, everyone, you all have a great day. Alright, see you.